Hey, what's up, the peoples? So we're coming up. Finally, monster spawn time has settled back into its regularly scheduled program. But I am getting ahead of myself. This event, this Xmas event, has been cray cray. This is the first time since I have been playing that I've seen the developers listen to feedback from the community and change an event midstream. So I want to go over what those changes have been. What was the Xmas event when it dropped, and what were the changes that were implemented, and what was that outcry from the community. So we're going to be doing that to the tune of the monster hitting, and we got 30 seconds to go. A little bit. Okay. So what happened was Xmas event dropped and it was terrible. So they increased the price of everything. What was the operant feature of Xmas event? It is the Mythic Engine. So the Mythic Engine is what drives everything on the Xmas event. It's what gets you that hospital hull that's so important when you're first starting out. That's going to be your first year. You'll look. I mean, when we first started this game and we first had Mythic Engine drops, getting one, that's all you needed because you needed the hull, and the hull was new. Now it's been some years since the hull's been released, so the developers put time limit item redeem in there, and you've got all sorts of stuff that you can exchange for these engines. This year, unlike previous years, everything is more expensive. So what does that mean? It means like stuff like to get a Takeda release not only cost, I mean, number one, to have a Takeda release equal to a hull, I mean, that's a little ridiculous. But fine, last year it was one Mythic Engine. This year it's a Mythic Engine and 5 of these Christmas hats. Christmas hats are 100 holiday chests. That's, to cost a Mythic Engine and 500 holiday chests for a single SCOM release is terrible. So what happened was at the beginning of this event is they dropped all of these extra items. I mean, in the time limit item redeem, and there were very few ways to get the Mythic Engines. You could get a Mythic Engine by killing sledges, and the drop rate is 0.1% or 1 in 1,000. I myself live streamed hunting for a Mythic Engine from a sledge, and I was at it for about 7 hours before I got it. It was insane. The live stream ended up crashing like 5 hours into it, but I kept going. So, I mean, the drop rate is no joke. But that was one way you could get it, and it's like kind of a badge of honor to be able to say that you farmed one. And then there was also spending $20 per day you could get a Mythic Engine, so it seemed like the developers were turning around and saying basically like, hey, give us money and we'll give you engines. Whereas in previous years, if you bought a $100 pack, you would get one. This year it looks like every day in the total recharge that it was $20, the first run. Fine. Then what happened is everybody logged in, looked at this terrible event, and looked at the fact that everything was more expensive, and they didn't increase the drop rate. So everybody pretty much complained to the developers because, why else did they complain? They also complained because of this Christmas tree vending machine. So number one issue is that they increased the cost of all of the items, but they didn't make it easier to get Mythic Engines. Number two is that they released this Christmas tree event, vending machine, which is like the Urban 7 vending machine that we had, I don't know, maybe it was about 6 or 7 or 8 months ago. And so the issue with this, though, is they put all the new weapons. They put the new air, walker, and infantry weapon in a random seed within the Christmas tree vending machine. So you couldn't go for the thing that you wanted. Ah, here they are. Okay. Oh no, I have one of them. That's why you couldn't necessarily go for the thing that you wanted, and these are the 3 weapons. So you had to just randomly take whatever seed you got, and people were pissed off about that. Then what happened is the next day, The next day, what happened is Galactic Oracle opened, and it opened for double usual cost. Normally, this is two cosmic crystals for a single. This one, it's four. So this came out, and people just like at this point, people were so pissed that this Galactic Oracle kind of set it over the edge, and people wrote into the developers, and they were very angry about this because it seemed like a huge cash grab from the developers. And then what happened is after people wrote in, a few days passed, Christmas passed. I mean, keep in mind that this was before Christmas when people were complaining. They were complaining right away. This was, I've never seen an event receive such a poor such a poor reception from the community. Like, this event when it started out, I've never seen it. It was nuts. Everybody was up in arms about this, and people were just like, not spending, and people were telling the developers about all the issues that they have. And I actually wrote into the developers, and I want to share that correspondence with you fine folks. But at any rate, before I do that, what happened? What happened is the developers, they actually listened. And they turned around and they heard overwhelmingly what was the thing that people were complaining about is that it was too hard to get the mythic engines. And that people should be able to do it without spending so much goddamn money. So the developers turned around and they added in power rules and strongest commander. And in these, they make it very easy, even as a free player, to pick up 2 mythic engines for power rules and 2 mythic engines for strongest commander. For strongest commander, I haven't done it yet, and but basically, you just add mags. You should be banking your mags anyway. It's the mag event, so whatever. Power rules, you could build 40,000 Yetis. So that's a huge deal. And actually, I'm jumping ahead in the narrative. Actually, what the first thing that developers did when people were screaming about this last Saturday is on Sunday they turned around. This is kudos to the developers for this. They turned right around and they gave 2 ether coins in the individual event. Oh, this was the thing people were mostly pissed off about. I apologize. I'm going all over the place. In previous years, it was possible to get 4 ether coins per day by doing all of your daily tasks. This year it came out with 2, and they simultaneously released this card that you could get, this monthly card, where you have to pay $20 and then you get double all of the rewards. So then you could get your 4 ether coins. So people basically logged in, saw this, and said, you're making me now spend in order to get enough to get a 50 coin chest, where in past years, that has been something that has been free. And people saw that as a cash grab. Ultimately, I think that the developers did it to fight alts. I think that some people have like 20 or 15 or 10 or 5 alts, and they farm ether coins on it, and they just feed their main with it. So, I completely understand why they did it. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it, but anyway, that was a hugely, contributing factor as to why people were pissed off. So anyway, devs turned around. They gave us the extra 2 ether coins in the individual event, and they also gave us the power rules and strongest commander, right? So giving us more ether coins and then also access to these mythic engines. So, really great by the devs. Unfortunately, I mean, while this is great and it kind of, it heals the wound, it doesn't exactly, in my mind, fix this event, completely. I don't. This is a huge step in the right direction. I've never seen anything like this, and I never believed that Seven Pirates would do this. And one thing that I'd said to Seven Pirates, I'm saying this like they listen to me. They don't friggin' listen to me. But one thing that I said to them is, why don't you just stop the Christmas event and come back next week with a better event? Take your time. But I never expected them to actually, make an attempt to remedy the event, but it seems that they have in a big way. However, in my mind, there's still some things that are. Well, I don't want to say wrong with it, but I wish it weren't this way. I wish it weren't this way that the developers should not be putting new gear in a random chance module like the Christmas tree or like the Urban 7 vending machine, because it doesn't level the playing field for each player. They're not able to aim at the equipment that they want, and they're just forced to gather all these materials and just throw them away and hope that they have enough mop-up coins. And that's kind of a bad move. So I don't appreciate that. I think that in order to fix this, they can have you decide what the top item is going to be. And I think that would actually be kind of cool if they just give you like a list of 10 items and hey, choose what's going to be at the top of this tree. You're still going to have to spend a bunch of mop-ups or get your Christmas postcard some way. So you're still going to have to engage in the content, but it'll actually allow you to figure out, what you want to do. And, who cares? Let people have their fun a little bit, And then the next thing that I have is that, number one, there's no Takeda Santa skin. What the hell? now that they've made hats a lot easier, I don't care that Takeda costs one, but but he shouldn't. But there should be the Takeda Santa skin. That was an oversight. But also, I don't like that I have to play slots in order to use up all my socks. The socks are so easy to get. There should be something that I could use just the socks on. So I would appreciate that, kind of like what we had in the Thanksgiving event, where in the Thanksgiving event, we had, you could farm pumpkin pies from the monsters, and you could turn in pumpkin pies alone for Melange, and that was great in my mind. And you know what? They used to do that for every event, but lately, for the past 8 months, they haven't done that. And that sucks, Seven Pirates. So, go back to doing that. But other than that, we do know that there's going to be some more changes to the event. So there's been a daily recharge each day, and we had known what each day was by looking at the game files. This is something that Krylar does, and he puts out there in the community. So it's on the Diplomacy of War server. If you're looking for any of the event details, it's all in the Eventified channel on Discord. So, check it out. And Krylar is awesome. He pulls that data. So we had known what every day the daily recharge was going to be, the daily discharge. But it looks like they pulled that data from the game and they've changed it to just a total recharge over the last, I think the 6 days of the event. So starting on December 30th, we're going to see a change. And so I think that's Monday. And Power Rules and, Strongest Commander are going to lapse then. And also the Ad Leadership event and the magazine BOGO. So we're definitely going to see a lot of events turn over again on December 30th. So basically, the event started out shitty, really, really bad. People hated it. People complained. The devs immediately responded, and then in a small way, and then responded in a much more measured way after they had some time and the holiday was over. So props to them.